Hey guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. I greatly appreciate it. Um, this is the daily forecast for all signs. It is a collective reading, therefore, it's available to anybody who watches it actually whenever you watch it. It is originally created for Thursday, November 11th. Okay, 11/11, guys. Interesting day. Not going to say anything because yesterday we drew the Four of Wands, which is the 11/11 card, and it didn't even dawn on me when I was filming yesterday that the card that would play this morning on the 10th would be the 11/11 card. So interesting, but nonetheless. So for those of you that are new, please check out the drop down menu below any of the daily videos. In there's just some housekeeping stuff, things I want you to think about, the decks that I use, how to get in contact with me if you need to ask, a question of a more personal nature, or if you want to book a private reading, you can certainly do that. You please leave a question or comment if you have a question about a particular reading or about a card or even a statement, like maybe a reading made you feel a certain type of way, whether it was good or bad. You can feel free to share that on the channel. I do read all the comments. I do respond if I feel as though response is required, but I am definitely paying attention to them, and I like them once I've read them, and that's about it. So let's just get into these cards. Oh, another thing I'll say too, if this reading doesn't fit you, if it doesn't fit in your life, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything's wrong or broken. It's just maybe not your reading. Like it might be for somebody else, right? There's a lot of flexibility with it. But I do speak in broad terms, so you have to take the responsibility of figuring out where these things that I'm saying fit in your life, if at all. Okay? So let's get into these cards and see who's going to come and visit us today. We've got interesting. Okay, Lady Justice is here. These shrouded figures in this deck, please, people. Justice is associated with the sign of Libra, the element of air, right? And also, Justice is major arcana. Justice, if you look here in this, Justice is usually depicted as being blind in a more traditional deck, right? She's usually depicted holding that sword that we see in this artist's rendition of the card. What I find interesting about this artist, and also holding those scales, which harkens to Libra. Where's my pointer? These scales that we see here. And those scales always represent balance, or what is right will soon be restored, and usually in a rather impactful and big way, right? That's kind of Justice's job. Justice can represent something as obvious as like winning a lawsuit, or winning a fight, and winning it like in a way that's not necessarily ego based, if you understand what I mean, but winning it rightfully so, right? On valid argument, or on just cause, right? Justice is going to come in. She's going to wield her sword, and she's going to cut through it, and the truth comes out, kind of thing, right? That's sort of how Justice plays out, and usually it's in a very profound way because she is major arcana. She's not, one of the pip cards. She is, you're usually more of a bigger life situation, right? Now, the one thing that's interesting to me that this artist has done with this Justice card is the ropes tied around her, right? Or tied around this figure. Those ropes feel pulled, obviously, right? They feel sort of restrictive, refined, not refined, that's the wrong word, bound in a way, right? Like this might be a little bit of a struggle to get this justice for ourselves, or we might be feeling like we are struggling to be seen clearly, to be treated fairly, to have our thoughts or our get our words out, right? Communicate. Air sign cards or swords cards always deal with the realm of communication and thoughts, right? The mind and how we communicate that. Justice usually has a clarity to her, right? She can oftentimes be brought about in a great warm way, sometimes in a very harsh way. Sometimes we have to face justice, and justice shows us things about ourselves we don't necessarily want to see, or we learn, through others and their perceptions of us, maybe where we've done wrong, right? But what I'm getting mainly from this card, and that's just, an overall of what justice can represent for some of you, and each one of you guys is going to experience this card in a different way in your life. I feel like there's something about this justice sort of lilting to the side there and being tied to the ground. There's something that, like I almost want to say it's like dead weight that we're dragging. I hate to say it, but justice will prevail, always does, never a doubt in my mind. But I think about yesterday's crow card of resistance, and I think about sort of that 11 card or the Four of Wands, and looking at ourselves and the reading that I gave you guys yesterday. And you can always research that by going back and rewatching that reading. And it makes me think about the fact that we might still be facing a little bit of that resistance, but we're making strides forward, right? Justice is about truth, ultimately. She's about the truth coming out. She's about the balance being restored, faith, balance, fairness being restored. Even if she has to get in there and cut a bitch, like, excuse my language, but it's true, like, even if somebody has to, like, learn the lesson sort of the hard way. And I feel like this rope around her in this particular rendition does say that this is going to be a little bit more of a, it might be a bigger situation for some of you, or a bit more struggle bus. It might feel a bit heavier as you're trying to do the right thing, as you're trying to maintain and restore that balance, as you're trying to communicate what it is you need to communicate in a fair and right manner. Justice can also represent trying to do the right things by others, and do and say what needs to be said in the correct way so that it's fair to all. But ultimately, she's a powerful card, and she is going to bring about that balance that the sign of Libra represents, right? I wouldn't be surprised if today's a day where we're up in our mind and in our thoughts a lot. But ideally, we want to be in clear thinking, not running around like a chicken with our head cut off. I don't get that's the case. I get that there's something that's pulling us, right? Obviously, these ropes have really got my attention in this card. There might be something that's pulling us away from what we know is right. And that something could be something that's important to us too. Let's just say that. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting in my gut. So I'm just going to use this as an analogy. Maybe there's a truth that needs to be told, but we have, like, say, a loved one or a child that if we tell them that truth, it could not necessarily harm them, but it could, upset them in some sort of way. That's those ropes that I'm feeling. Do you see what I'm saying? And so in an effort to restore that balance, we have to find the right way to go about doing it to be able to be not free, but to be able to be in our truth, to be back where we need to be. Okay? Justice is always going to lead us to what is right and what is good and what is appropriate. Keep that in mind too, and keep that as your perspective. The other thing I want to say is for the weekly on the Sunday reading, which is down in the bottom left-hand corner at the end of every daily reading, is we have that Three of Cups now. We saw that Wheel of Fortune for 3 damn days, and we couldn't shake that Wheel of Fortune card to save our life. But we're now at Thursday. We should be in that Three of Cups. Three of Cups is about celebrating others. Now, the design, because the way the artist works with this deck, was not the most celebratory of feelings. But again, there is this sort of appreciation of others and using others, or not using them, but like communing with them in a way. Maybe looking to them for ideas, maybe collaborating with them, because we also have that collaboration reflected in the end of the week underpinning energy card, which is that Three of Pentacles. So whatever we're working on emotionally, wherever we're feeling mentally right now, because justice is going to represent that mental aspect of ourselves. Yesterday we had the wands. The Four of Wands would have been more that spiritual aspect of self. The more mental expressions of what we're doing and how we're expressing ourselves and how we might be cutting ourselves free of certain things that maybe have been dragging us down. Or maybe it's time to be free. And in that freedom, we restore some semblance of balance. It's all going to sort of work out and be okay. We just need to sort of trust that, especially mentally, because we do have that Three of Cups underneath and we have that Three of Pentacles. And both of those are about both of those ultimately in a traditional tarot deck are very positive cards about celebration and collaboration with ourselves and others, bringing what we bring to the table in such a way that it allows everybody to excel and exceed, right? So Justice wants us to just see that truth today. She doesn't want us like bogged down. And I will say this too about Justice. She's going to be more analytical than she's going to be emotional because she got that sword. She's an air sign, right? She's going to think about things rather than feel things, right? She's going to move through things from a practical manner rather than an emotional manner. And those emotions are maybe what those ropes are that are hanging there that are maybe holding her back a little bit. So she may have to cut those emotions free or cut those, feelings away to be able to get to the truth to restore that balance that she so greatly needs. Okay, interesting card that we have going on here. The card is Trickery. Look at this little punk. I love crows. Okay. So this little guy, it looks like he's hiding a pebble underneath some leaves. I'm not exactly sure. I'll read you the story because I'm new to this deck. But it looks like he's almost hiding something from this other crow. Like somebody's not telling the truth. Now, when we see this with Justice here, ooh, girl, better watch out. Because the truth will come out with the Justice card. Whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or a month from now, Justice is going to make sure we see it. That might also be the ropes tied there. Our emotions or our connections to certain situations, people, or things may not be allowing us to see or be as clear-minded as we need to be to, speak our truth, maybe, or to find the answers, right? And this trickery card says to me, there could be someone or some situation where we don't have all of the details. Something could be hidden. Something could be being withheld. Somebody could even be, hey, emotional manipulation is a thing, people. So it could be somebody being emotionally manipulated, right? Like this crow is kind of like hiding what he's got over here from the other crow, and that's not very nice, right? So we got to be careful. This is giving me this thievery or trickery card is giving me full on Seven of Swords vibes too. Justice will prevail though, ultimately. She's major arcana. She doesn't mess around. She's going to come to that truth. She's just going to have to cut away some of the trickery or the the stuff that I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, but in a way, there might be something we're not being told. There might be a portion of the story that's being withheld. There could be, somebody trying to play a role to make us feel a certain type of way because they know that if we feel that certain type of way, we won't be able to restore that balance or move forward or do what we need to do. But Lady Justice is not going to allow that to happen. So keep mindful of that, okay? So again, there's a little bit of a push-pull here, but we have that Three of Cups underneath this. That Three of Cups should be ultimately a positive underpinning to this. Things are going to work out and things will be hopefully celebrated after all of this trickery or whatever you want to call it. Let me find, I don't have my glasses because I'm an old blind as a bat kind of person, but I'm going to read you trickery because it's a new card to me. Excuse me. Trickery. Crows are known for stealing another bird's stash, then hiding it, covering it up with leaves to throw off its tracks. Similar in energy to the Seven of Swords. Did I call it, people? I love MJ. MJ's the creator of this deck, and I just love her. She's amazing. Trickery brings to your attention that someone may be trying to deceive you. This card may also indicate that your situation could benefit from allowing for some innovative and creative thinking. A little deception for the sake of the greater good may be warranted. Okay, now, what I want to say about that, where she's talking about trickery being a positive, maybe we're not necessarily communicating everything we know or all of it at once. That could be the ropes that is also holding Justice slightly back there. Ultimately, Justice card, right? She is going to do the right thing in the right time after having thought it through very, very clearly. So with whatever delicate situations you might be dealing with or people that you might be dealing with, if you're the one being the trickery or doing the, withholding the information, you might be doing that for a purpose, right? So pay attention and to listen to like sort of maybe the justice of your heart. And it will tell you when it's right to release and to release those ropes and release the information to restore that balance. Now, let me get into, and I love the little fall leaves, right? We're in November. Get it, Crow. Bringing you in a little fall fashion. Our grounding stone for today, this is just a principle, a thought, or something to ground in. Today, the word is respect. So I'm going to say this about this. The first thing I hear in my head and in my heart when I hear this is respect for oneself, first and foremost. Okay. That would be justice, about seeking and finding that justice and that truth within ourselves, for ourselves, and holding that truth at the forefront to maintain that balance. If we are using some sort of trickery to maybe spare another or whatever, doing that, we could be doing that out of respect for others and their feelings, right? But ultimately, we get to decide, or we will decide. And as long as we're grounded in doing whatever it is we are doing, whether we're the ones that are doing the fibbing or we're being flat out lied to, we need to have the self-respect to acknowledge that, no, you're a trickster, you're lying to me, and walk away. Or we need to have those sort of respect for others to be like, maybe now's not the time to say this. Maybe now's not the time to wield this truth just yet, right? You get to make that decision, and each one of you is going to be experiencing these cards in a different way and how it applies to your life. So you'll have to decide that for yourself. But ultimately, guiding yourself in this, or grounding yourself in this idea of being not only respectful to yourself, but to those around you. And literally, we cannot understand and truly respect others until we can respect ourselves. I truly believe that. If we're grounded in that, no matter what happens or how it plays out, Lady Justice will reign supreme, and she always brings about that balance that's needed and sought out. Remember also, the grounding stone underneath this for the entire week is that word faith. So have faith this week in yourself and in situations, even if they feel like they might be working against you. All right. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in. That is your forecast for the day. Please tune in tomorrow. And you can hit that thumbs up button, leave me a message, leave me a like, leave me a comment, and subscribe. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.